Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Two cars, 4 classes, 9 tracks and 60 drivers. Welcome to Season 5 of the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick and I am very happy to be joined alongside by Chaz Jacob for this opening round of the championship from Watkins Glen. Chaz returned to this series for the first time in, well, about 6 months or so, but with a massive change. Gone with the LMP1 cars, which have been a stalwart for the first 4 seasons of this series, and instead we bring in the BMW LMDH. And well, since it's come to the service a few months ago, Chaz, it has got a very warm reception, and with 35 cars in that category here tonight, clearly that reception is not diminishing.
Oh, absolutely not, Sam. No, it's great to be back on Apex Racing TV again, and awesome to be here for this championship. Yeah, some incredibly exciting cars out there tonight, and this BMW prototype is no exception. It looks fantastic, it sounds fantastic as well, really unique noises from some of these new GTP and LMDH cars, and I think that the racing itself is going to be mega as well, because they are so quick. Every decision has to be made in an absolute split second, and that's what's going to keep us entertained over the course of this evening.
Yeah, and I think it is a good host for this opening round of the championship, Chaz. A circuit that the drivers are so familiar with. It's, I believe, the most used road circuit in all of iRacing. So one that, yeah, they'll be able to get up to speed nice and quickly with. For multi-class racing, it's sort of a bit of a tricky one. I mean, it's medium size, it's sort of medium width as well. And so it is going to be possible for the guys to get around there, but they've also got to be a little bit cautious as well. I mean, it's not going to be as easy as maybe somewhere that we go like Silverstone, for example. But I hope that we can have a clean race and have most of these 59 cars get to the end.
Yeah, it's a bit of a treacherous circuit. It doesn't look that complicated when you see it on paper, but when you take into consideration the undulating nature of it, it really is a big challenge. I mean, the S's going up the hill, they don't look like S's at all on the track map, but it really is a tough challenge up there, and the speed that these cars will be doing, again, it comes down to those split-second decisions that can be make or break for a lot of our drivers here. Running the full layout as well down to the boot, and I mean, look at the conditions. It's rather gloomy out there, but sometimes these cooler track temperatures can actually mean some really top-notch lap times, can't they? Because the track isn't red hot, it's not absolutely ruining the tyres, and we may see people at a very good pace towards the end of the race.
Yeah, and the practice session actually started in the midst of darkness. 6 o'clock in the morning it started, so I think it's now just gone past 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's getting warmer slightly, but still very cool, as you were saying, very similar to the conditions that they have got for the official series this week. Also very happy to have these new graphics that we have up on screen, the WEC overlay, and that is available as standard from SDK Gaming, one of the sponsors for this series. I think it looks really nice. I really like the space efficiency of it, the fact that there's not a whole lot of backgrounding, you can just see so much more of the circuit having this one compared to some of the overlays that we have. So really fantastic to use this for this season. And well, it's currently demonstrating Thiago Marteau racing around this circuit. Going to be one of the first drivers to set a time in the LMDH card. These guys just have 10 minutes to set a qualifying lap, but they have as much time as they want. They are not limited. They have got up to 4 laps that they can do it.
Yeah, and I think that's going to give them quite a lot of freedom here, and it gives you a lot of confidence to push, because we've both seen in the past a lot of championships where you only have 1 lap available in something like an 8-minute, 5-minute, or even 10-minute session. So you only get 1 chance to do it regardless of when you go in the session. And I think being able to put in a couple of laps here, it's going to mean that it's even closer in qualifying, which is always what we want as viewers of this. You know, as commentators and broadcasters, we always enjoy a closer fight. The times are coming through now, and at the moment, well, Sven Newman just goes to the top with a 1:25.569, 32 thousandths behind him is Thiago Marteau, and then Alexander Weitzel in 3rd position is only 0.2 of a second back, and well, already very, very close in the Pro class, close in the AM class, and then we of course have Pro and Am in the LMP2s as well. So plenty to keep our eye on here, Sam. It's not just one outright field, and I love that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't mind it if it was just 10 cars on each other. It makes it a lot easier for us, and yeah, there's a lot less factors for us to consider. But yeah, it is a feature of multi-class racing, and because everyone having an opportunity to challenge for a title with these amateur classes. Great to see the amateur class. I don't think we ever had an amateur class in the P1s. Maybe we did for 1 season, but this season, healthy grids in the for the LMDHs and the P2s as well. 25 P2s, 35 LMDHs, so plenty of opposition. Vandenberg, who was, I believe, the last driver to sign up to the series, so he's very happy to be out there for Crash Bot Racing, and absolutely just making mincemeat of these final couple of corners, getting not too close to the exit wall, making sure that he gets this 2nd time in. And well, in the LMDH category, these times are absolutely being put in rapidly. Delichas currently at the top of the LMP2s, and yeah, Gazella currently top of the LMP2 AMs.
Yeah, it's very, very close though, isn't it? I mean, look at that in the LMP2 Pros, 44 thousandths of a second, there's 52 thousandths and even 95 thousandths of a second between the top 4 in LMDH AM, and then we have, of course, 32 thousandths of a second between this man, Thiago Marteau, and the guy just ahead of him, Sven Newman, in the number 107 machine. Look at the amount of runoff that they're using on the left-hand side of the circuit there, really taking their chances and making sure that they open up the corner as much as possible. This car accelerates so quickly, it's like a bullet out of a gun. I know previously, of course, looking at the LMP1s and the Porsche 919 and Audi R18, it's pretty bonkers, to be fair, how quickly they accelerate. But on board these new cars, they just look like scale electric machines. They look so planted. But a lot of drivers after Daytona were saying that they were a bit all over the place. It's hard to tell from the outside, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done too many laps, but yeah, it's a little bit of a temperamental car. But yeah, that peak downforce that they have, and of course, yeah, that acceleration is really unmatched by any active car. I guess the W13 and W12 are probably there as well. But in terms of commonly used, these cars are really right at the top of that one. 4 minutes of this session to go. A few drivers on outlaps at the moment. Sven Newman also, I believe, on an outlap himself at the moment. We're watching Sasha Engelhardt for Deutsche Payment Esports. And in these final couple of corners, can he go any faster? I'm not seeing many personal best sector times at the moment for Sasha. So the 118 will do well in order to get himself into the top 5. He crosses the line, and it is 0.3 of a second slower than his best lap, so no improvement for him. Here comes Frank Smits for Hydro Race Geodesic Racing. Great to see Geodesic out there, very established team when it comes to iRacing, and well, he remains in 4th place. I think he's just starting it up.
There's David Sampson from Apex Racing Academy just pulling over after completing a lap. Harley Smith there for Outrun Motorsports, and now Dan Amore in the number 341 car. Something to point out to the viewers as well, if they're new to the championship, is the numbering system for this. So the LMDH Pros at the top of the pile will be a 3-digit number starting with the number 1, and then basically LMDH AM is 200 onwards up to 300, which is LMP2 Pros, and then LMP2 AMs are 400 and above. Makes it a lot easier for us as well on the timing towers as well, Sam, when we get to look at these on our timing screens, I should say. But I love that because it still separates the drivers in a different way that other people, you know, the nerdy lot that love the numbers, it still gives you an idea of who's in what class from there.
Definitely. Unfortunately as well, we've got these nice bright colours, the reds and the oranges and the blues and the greens. And honestly, it's so tricky at the start of the season to pick them out. But yeah, we will do our very best. Lockie Brown, very established driver in this season. But we've got so many good drivers. Sven Newman, several times runner-up. I feel like Newman's got the most amount of top 3s in ARL championships without winning a title. And he's just gone to the top there, so this could well be his season. Early to call there, but Thiago Marte is going to try to put an end to that one. He's only 300ths of a second off. This might be his last lap time potentially, because once the 10 minutes is up, that's it. You can't just complete your final lap time. Marte leaving no space on the outside of the final corner. Can he go to pole position? No, he can't, but it looked like he had another lap up his tail. And Chalon as well, improving, but not able to move up any places.
He actually just loses his place there as well. There's just moving ahead of him was the 178 of Haroldas Jatotas. And he now goes inside the top 10. Here's Jack Wells for Beast Racing, a team I haven't seen on my screen for a while, but a team I used to race for under the watchful eye of Drew Adamson from iRacing. Jack Wells crosses the line and remains in 4th position in his class. And his best time at the moment is a 1:26.51. That one was a 1:26.89. Here's Paul Joseph Clist, big supporter of Apex. He's racing for Olympus Esports here, but by the look of it, coming into the pits. Very striking livery on that car, big bright glowing wheels. Here's Ricard Boberg. He's also coming into the pits for Crips Racing. Whoop, locks the rear end up. It's very easy to do that in cars like this, isn't it, Sam? With a very rearward brake bias, you can just step on the pedal, and if the front end is pointing slightly in either direction, then it will just go around like a spinning top.
Yes, yeah. As it's just got closer and closer as well in the LMP2 category. Now the top 5 just separated by 0.3 of a second in the LMP2 Pros. Gosh, I used to be able to call them P2s, but now that we've got the LMDHs, I do feel like I should do the full 4 characters, but it's very tricky. Delachaz, in fact, not going to go any faster. He slows to a halt. Emmanuel Gazella, by the way, up there in P3 overall in the LMP2 category. And they do score points to each car class by their car class position, not by their class position, if that makes sense. So the AMs and the Pros want to beat one another, but it doesn't make any advantage to beat someone who's in a completely different car. So Gazella crossing the line there. That is going to be the end of qualifying. The checker flag is out, and our first grid of the season is pretty much ready. And it's not a particularly long warm-up around this track, so we will get into the grid fairly quickly. And there it is, Sven Newman up on pole position ahead of Thiago Marte. Remember, Marte, 2-time F3 Pro champion in ARL. Also an amateur champion in the Porsche Cup. Whoever put him in the amateur category that season was a complete moron because he is very quick. Pascal Stix up there in 3rd place. There's Frank Schmitz, Alexander Weitzel, Sasha Engelhardt, Kevin Krosny, Kevin Duguay, Kaiman Sapini, and Haroldas Jatotas in 10th place. There's Kevin Chalon, Balez Tarowski, Lockie Brown, watch out for him to get up there, Kevin Veermont, Martin Ziegeveld, Johnny Gebhard, Marcel Vandenberg, Jack Wells, who finished runner-up in the LMP1 category last season, Fabio Grosseto, who I believe was P3 in the LMP2 Pro category last season, and Adam Wright rounds out the top 20. There's Noah Chia, Danilo Piazza, Valentin Amblad, Matthew McBride, Adam Coles, Rory O'Shea, Clement Marie, Doriano Ricucci, Kieran Smart, Soren Kroll in 30th. And they keep on coming. Kevin Kittelman, 2-time NASCAR champion in ARL, Guillaume Kempfer, and Ricard Boberg in 33rd place. Then we get into the LMP2s, Alexander Delachaz at the top of that car class. Then it's Bogdan Moldovan, Emmanuel Gazella, Anders Meyer, Mark Kustas, Justin Adakonis, Maximilian Fritz in 40th place, who's very high iRacing in space. I think the highest iRacing of all the LMP2s. I might make it up. Sam Coleman in 41st. Then it's David Sampson, Bruno Solom, Sutinu Maihe, Harley Smith, Oliver Newbury, Dana Moore, Thomas Mork, Thomas Sorensen, Yannick Janssen in 50th, Louis Soraya, Daniel Merchant, David Grimadius, Stephen Mann, PJC, and Connor Davidson, running up 56 car fields. Huge grid, one of the biggest grids we've had this year, Chaz.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see a humongous grid of these cars. Wonderful to see that the demand is there for the spots in the series as well. And it means that no matter where we look tonight, there is going to be exciting racing. The drivers getting prepared to go, except for one of the LMP2s has dropped right down near the back. I'm not quite sure who that was, but hopefully they do get going and don't cause a large issue here. But round the final corner they go, Sam, and we're about to get things underway.
Yeah, here we go then. Season 5 of the Apex Racing League Prototypes Championship is about to get underway. The start zone has been passed and we are away racing straight away 3 wide for P2. But it's a strong start for Sven Newman. It's an awful start for Marto. He's dropped down 4 places, so awful start for P2 on the grid. And we have got a spin in the background. I think Vandenberg was going in deep. But we've got a bit of a mess for Kuti, Boberg, Grassetto, Kieran Smart as well, all getting involved in those first couple of issues in this opening lap of the race. But straight away into the lead is the German driver of Newman. In the LMP2s, Delachas still just about leading the way in that category with Bogdan Moldovan in 2nd position as they get launched right now. Anders Meyer there in 3rd position. Still Gazella top of the LMP2 out as he's just trying to survive there on the outside going through turn 1 on this opening lap of the race. But a bit of a mess there in the LMDH cars there, Chaz, but fortunately they were able to get clear up these guys in.
Yeah, the 2 real casualties you can see at the moment that dropped right to the back of the field are Balázs Tarocci and Dan and Moore. Those 2 have dropped a ton of places, and now Haroldas Jatortas as well. He is gone. He's dropped down right to the back. He's actually just nipped into the pits as well as the battles now get underway in the LMDH class. Now, this is the point of the race where you've really got to just stick to your guns here and, well, try to still be careful at the same time. It's a bit of a tough moment in the race, early stages, but you've got to be so careful because you can't overdo it here and risk not just a position overall, but of course a position in your class. There is so much going on in these early stages. It's easy to lose sight of who is in what class around you. Let pros go if you're in the AM class, or try and not to get messed up with any of the AMs if you are in the pro class, and just think, who do I need to fight? Who can I let go? But the problem is, if you are starting to let people go behind you, you need to think about who's behind them. There's going to be a lot of guys in this situation now where they're thinking about the classes around them. You can see the different coloured number boards as well, of course, which does certainly help us. There's a lot of contact there and a car goes around. That's one of the LMP2. Was that one of the pros? It was one of the AMs. I'm having a look. We've got Kemper off the road.
Grimadius was certainly involved. But yeah, fortunately that didn't happen further up the order. Otherwise that could have been very messy around one of the narrowest parts of the circuit, really. There's no way to avoid as that's a big slide there for Bogdan Moldovan. Delachas is running away with this one right now. He's 9/10 of a second clear of the rest of the field. So Moldovan needs to, well, stop walking, Chaz, and start running in his walk racing one. I had to beat into that one because I could see you were already eyeing that one up. Gazella trying to mix it up with some of the pros right now. He's got plenty of cars between him and the next AM, and there goes one of the LMDH cars, Noah Chia, who starts to further down the order, and he's having to already deal with these LMP2 cars, but it's a little bit easier for him because he hasn't got several other LMDH cars trying to make their way through some tanks.
Yeah, that's it. He's just got to come off one by one here. He can't be too impatient because let's not forget how quick these LMP2s are. You know, they may be in the lower class here on paper. No slouchy machines. You can see a few of them moving over slightly, moving around just to make sure they don't make life too hard for him. We look here at Marcel Vandenberg for Crashbot Racing. He right now is all over the back of Zayeveld, in front of him, up through the S as they go. He runs a little bit wide through the first part of it, and he's going to try and tuck it in again after that. Look at that down the inside, or looking at least down the inside. Here's Rory O'Shea coming in behind, moves over to the right-hand side, and now he, of course, is in the AM class, moving ahead. And it's a bit of a mix-up, isn't there? at this early stage, because you've got some of the drivers in the AM class moving forward in positions they don't really need, and some of the pro drivers getting hindered by them, dropping down a few spots. It's that mix-up part of the race, I suppose.
Yeah, so Brad said we've now got top 11 in the LMDH Pros, top 11 in the I'll stop messing over my words, because we've got 3 wide, and well, they did well to all get through that one. That was into the pass as well, and Gazella at the front of that AM category, remember, but still really in the mix. We've seen him a couple of times already, and he is constantly battling with other drivers. I think he has dropped a couple of places from where he was at the start of this race. I think he was as high as P4 at the start. He's now down into P7 overall in the LMP2s. It's David Sampson. Oh, he's got a long train of cars behind him. He's having to go defensive here into the toe, and he's got Harley Smith, and that's an active driver actually just behind Smith. Not caring too much about that. He wants to get past him.
He's got a great mix as well. He's got one of the AM drivers behind him, and then he's also got one of the BMWs also tucked in, making its way through the order as well there. So plenty going on around him right now. We've got a number of drivers, unfortunately, that are either in the pits or locked down, and hopefully they do continue on in the race. We've got Marcel van den Berg. He's been into the pits and come back out again. He was in the pits for 6 seconds apparently, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to him. As here now we look at Anders Meyer for Racing Lab Esports. One of the BMWs just flying past on the right hand side of him. He's currently 3rd in his class, only 1.4 seconds off the class leader at the minute, so he's not going to be too hindered by that BMW coming back through the order. He's got Moldovan in front of him, then Delatraz, who's leading the LMP2 Pros. But look and listen, these things are flying up the S's, making incredible noises. But even now, I mean, we know how fast Alcalara is in a straight line. That BMW going past it, it's making it look like it's sat still. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is very impressive, and especially that high end speed as well. I mean, it's one thing to have good acceleration, but to be able to carry that all the way through that very long back straight is really testament to the performance of that BMW. Here's Colin Davison, who I think maybe started from last position actually. He is going alongside PJC at the moment, and well, PJC currently ahead of him. These two may well have a race-long battle, honestly. Also in the lead of the LMP, as still that battle, which I think PVC's going to get it done this time, and he has got ahead. So, Coldstone Racing, 1-2 at the moment between Newman and Styx. We've seen them in so many leagues over the years. Styx, I really struggle to remember everyone who's won this race. I believe Styx has won an Apex Racing League Championship in the past, Newman bridesmaid on several occasions in the past, and they're sort of leaving the rest of the field alone right now, but then behind that, Schmitz has got a battle all the way down to Kevin Duguay in 10th position, so that's 8 cars all in the line in the team.
Yeah, it's a fantastic list of names though following along with him as well. They all sound like proper racing driver names. You've got Alexander Weitzel, Kevin Krosny, Sasha Engelhardt, Kimon Sapini, you've got Kevin Chyon, Thiago Marteau. He's having a bit of a poor race at the moment. He's starting 2nd, he's dropped down to 9th. And then, as you say, Kevin Dogway in 10th position. Even behind them, Martijn Zayeveld in 11th. Isn't too far back. We look here though at Johnny Gebhard in the Dutch Payment Esports machine. And look at these cars, they are like guys around there, just one way then the other. Stamp on the power and out you go out the final corner. Gebhard, of course, leading the LMDH AM class, so he doesn't need to put too much pressure on the car in front of him. And he just needs to basically stay there, use the slipstream at this point, Sam. He doesn't need to push too hard, really, does he? It's a nice position to be in, because he doesn't have to worry too much about the car behind. Jack Wells is 1.4 seconds behind him, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's just out of slipstreaming range for this sort of car, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And these cars are pretty tight on fuel for this race, so it should be a one-stop for everyone, but close. Everyone who's raced these cars knows that it's sort of around 40 minutes that these cars can go, so you've only got about 5 minutes to play with, so if you can save an extra lap of fuel, it will be quite good. This track is too bad on fuel. It's so like flowing that you're not killing your speed. It's the circus where you're accelerating a lot and then braking a lot, where you're going to be using up a lot of fuel because you're wasting so much energy. But here, very few slow speed corners, so you can carry the speed all the way through. But yeah, they will still be tight on fuel. Only maybe 2 laps you can really extend or decrease your stint by if you want to get to the end. Here comes Anders Meyer. He is getting very close right now to Bogdan Moldovan, but he decides to back out a bit and yeah, remaining in the position at Akonis. Seemingly doing the same thing before.
Yeah, there's a few drivers that will be...
That.
Oh, hello. I was just about to say, there's going to be a few drivers that will be still trying to push the envelope in these early stages, and there'll be a few others that are going to settle into a rhythm. And you can tell who those drivers are by just the body language of their machines out there on track. Here's Doriano Ricciuti. Whoa, having a bit of a moment as he enters the boot section here. That was very, very scary. Well, the Old Dogs Racing machine, the Italian just going through the toe now. The 217 in front of him getting very sideways indeed. Fantastic save it was, that man. But now he goes through and moves on up the order. Still, looking at the overall positions, he's down to 38th place. So he's got a lot of them to make his way through. Big slide for him as well. He's now got David Sampson in front of him. And the man having a big little slide was Oliver Newbury, certainly putting on a lot of entertainment there. But even through some of the corners as well, you can see that the P2 cars are actually pretty well matched, to be fair. It's just the overall acceleration and straight line aerodynamics, the speed of the BMWs is where they really prevail. The 570 horsepower, I believe, from the 630 horsepower from the combustion engine, and the hybrid setup is capped at 67 horsepower. So they tend to only put out about 670 to make sure the engine lasts for a lot of their endurance races. You can just see that power difference in the BMWs. It's really, really happy.
Yeah, the fastest time so far in the LMDHs is a 27.5. Fastest time in the LMDHs is a 31.7. So you're talking 5 seconds per lap. And when it comes to the top LMP2s being overtaken by the bottom LMDHs, it's not going to be totally easy. I mean, it's going to take potentially half a lap, particularly if you catch in the big section. Here comes the core sim racing guys. Are we going to see any bump drafting? I doubt it. I don't think bump drafting is totally advised in this car, and I don't think it's totally necessary either for these guys. To be fair, on that last lap, we're taking a bit of time out of those two. Newman about half a second slow, maybe making a small mistake. This pack behind Schmitz sort of opening up a little bit. He's still got Weitzel, Krosny and Engelhardt right behind him, but Sapini just dropping away now. And yeah, he's got Chalon and yeah, the Martel, as you were saying earlier on, very disappointing race for him up there on the front row at the good start as these LMDHs start moving through the markers in the LMP2s.
Yeah, and to be fair, the back markers could be pivotal in this race. You often get traffic that causes issues when you have multi-class racing, especially with so many cars out there. Starting this race with 56 cars, it's amazing to see that we have that many of them. These battles absolutely everywhere we look. We've got Kevin Krosny here, a little bit of shooting around, let's call it. Some BMWs here, they're all glued together here. He's currently 4th in his class, is Krosny. He's got a bunch of them all lining up behind, but look, there's the 422 car just in front of him, of Connor Davison, and oh no, Connor goes piling into the barriers. Crosby gives him a tap in the rear by the look of it, and around he goes. And that's the thing, that they're all going so quickly, Sam. Little moments like that, or big moments like that, can happen so quickly, and look at how this all develops. It's just mayhem, isn't it?
It really is. So Krosny dropping some places there, but sort of up into 4th position. It looked like Krosny was just being very impatient. Davison a little bit slow himself, but even as the faster car class, you got to yeah, be patient in that situation. And Krosny potentially with damage now, going to be suffering down the straights probably for the first half of this race now. And he's got Chalon right on his tail. So after that pack seemingly opening up, previously it's absolutely back in a train all the way down to what is 9th position. Again, that's dropped off slightly himself, but so with the way that fight's going now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he does catch back onto the rear of these drivers in soon, as still Weitzel is absolutely being hounded. I think he might be overtaken here as Engelhardt tries to get underneath him. He couldn't quite do it, but through the penultimate corner, easy flat out for these guys. He can carry the tow through here, and now going to get really held up potentially is the P4 man behind the P2, and this is Engelhardt's opportunity. He's going to surely make it 3 wide as we start the next lap of this race.
Yeah, Engelhardt takes advantage, moves over to the right hand side, tries to squeeze him back in towards the traffic as well, makes the apex and says thank you very much. Some would say that that was a little bit naughty, as oh no, it's kicked off behind and Cheyon's gone off into the barriers. And Actually, no, it wasn't Shaun. Apparently, apologies. Shaun did go off on the inside, but I don't think he's actually hit anything there. There was another car that went off around the outside. Stephen Mann, I think it was, in the LMP2 AMS. And now more positions being lost by Shaun as Zayeveld goes past him there on his right-hand side of the S's. But again, just everybody shuffling around, trying to take advantage of the LMP2s. The LMP2s trying to move out of the way and people trying to make positions in their own classes. It can all get very messy very quickly if they're a little bit impatient, Sam, and that's exactly what happened there, I'm afraid. It was definitely naughty, though, from Engelhardt to move over. Look, he squeezes there towards the inside. It is a really naughty move, and then all of a sudden it just kicks off behind. Oh, they go 3 wide into turn 1. It's more and more contact, and Stephen Mann, bless him, is absolutely piled right into the barrier on the outside. With no gravel trap there, there's nothing slowing it down.
As Cosney continues to drop down, so he seems to have some damage, and yeah, he can't take an early pit stop in this series because they are so tight on fuel, so that is going to be a very long stint for him, albeit he has been able to get back past his teammate Johnny Gebhard actually there. Yeah, Gebhard making a slight mistake. We'll see if that switches back around again. But yeah, it looked like the LMP2 car was completely innocent of all the cars. He didn't deserve to have a crash there. He goes himself as, well, Crosney's had enough of it. He's got too much damage as he hits the wall again. The drivers do get one faster there, so he'll use that, but he's on tenterhooks for the next hour of this race. As Gebhard still leading the way in the LMDH AMS at the moment. As Soren Kroll, who has made up a lot of places so far, he's up to 13.
Yeah, Soren Kroll going very well indeed. 13th overall, 17 places gained. So too the man behind him as well, Kevin Kittleman. He started this race down in 31st, but he's up to 14th position. So he's actually behind that as well. He's gained more than 10 places so far in this race. Jack Wells here for Beast Racing, right in the thick of it, 2nd place in his class. And Soren Kroll, teammate at Beast Racing actually, I believe. Not too far back in the list, but of course there are a couple of the LMDH AMS, maybe even some of the pros between them as well, as there comes a move. Oh, the 178 throws it up the inside. Wow, very, very late send there down the inside. Who was that came piling through? I believe, was that even a car that was, yeah, it was Haroldas Jatotas, and he was a lap down on him there, Sam, throwing that right down the inside, a lap down. That was really naughty.
Yes, yeah, I don't know how Wells kept it out of the water. I thought the moment that he touched the grass that he was just going to be skidding off, but yeah, did remarkably well to keep it out of the wall. In the LMP2s, still Delachas leading the way, but only by 1.2 seconds. So Delachas, who was sort of dominating earlier on, not quite so much anymore. Moldovan is keeping tabs with him, 1 second behind as it stands, and he's bringing on Anders Meyer, who won in the Pro-Am category in the last Porsche Cup Championship that we hosted, season 6 of the Porsche Cup. So he's a very accomplished driver, mixing it up with the roads. I think he won a couple of events actually. Did Meyer against some basically pro-level drivers. So Meyer is very good in that car, and he's not shabby in this LMP2 car either. Anakonis only just behind. Then we've got a bit of a gap back to Sam Corman, Maximilian Fritz having a boring race, and Emmanuel Casella. Not so far ahead now of Harley Smith. Harley Smith for Outrun Motorsports closing that gap to just 0.8 of a second now. You can see that huge pack of cars right behind our LMP2 lead.
Yeah, Gacella's just staying out in front as much as he can at the moment. 1.2 seconds certainly isn't a lot. All of our leaders are actually about, well, less than 3 seconds from 2nd place in their respective classes. So it's still very, very close indeed. Here's Louis Araya from the Norwegian machine. Going forward to Bruno Sjöholm in the 331 car, the Koegi Racing team. Machine with his teammate just behind him as well, sticking together in strong in numbers here. That's Oliver Newbury just behind, although the BMW throwing it up the inside there, trying to make more traffic work for him. That's Sasha Engelhardt again. Certainly Sasha happy to take the risks here and really throw the car around. As look at these LMDHs come through, it's an incredible pace difference. We go back though to Moldovan. Moldovan. It's funny actually, because someone in the chat earlier said that their favourite sim racer is Moldovan and is driving. And I thought they meant he is from Moldova, so he is Moldovan, but it's actually his name. It really caught me off guard for a moment. Here's Marteau side by side with Johnny Gebhard at the moment. Gebhard goes down the inside of the carousel, Marto runs the car very far out wide, clips the grass a little bit, somehow keeps it in front of Gebhard, but he goes a little bit deep into the boot section. Behind him as well, Soren Kroll, side by side here. Beast Racing here having a bit of a battle with, who's that, Kevin Cheyenne, is it next to him? He's having a bit of a ding-dong here in the 228 machine, the AM car. There's just battles going on absolutely everywhere, Sam. And half the time it's hard to actually realise whether they're all in the same class as one another when they're battling. It's just epic because everybody is jostling for whatever position they can get, regardless of the classes. There you go, Kevin Cheyenne down the inside of Martin Zayeveld. Let's come straight back at him now, down the start-finish straight in just a couple of corners time. But look at the backlog, it is endless.
Yeah, of course, we're due to so many of these drivers. Got a few returning places, but so many of these drivers. So we don't know if who these guys are overperforming or underperforming, as Marto's had to come into the pits. In fact, someone hit the wall there, Chaz.
Just a bit, yeah. Someone absolutely headbutted the wall in one of the LMP2s there. I didn't quite catch who it was, unfortunately, but one of them went absolutely head on. I'm not sure if there was a bit of contact before that tipped the car straight on and obviously resulted in it not going where they would have wanted it to. But wow, there was a massive clatter into the barriers there. And I think it was even that hard a hit that it didn't end up being able to get the car back over to the right-hand side and into the pits. But we may see that again. Mighty whack, to be fair, in that car. Well, probably won't be in the pits for a while due to the fast repair, but if it wasn't for the fast repair, they'd probably be completely done for the day, I'd say.
Yes, and for so many, so often a saviour for many. So yeah, French Smith's had an issue, and maybe it was David Grimaldi, I think, maybe, who hit the wall on that occasion. There is Schmitz after a slight issue on the previous lap. As yes, there he is currently on screen, the 162 car. And yes, Sean Newman leading the way then ahead of Sticks. Engelhardt. Sticks actually going a little bit detached, but it's the ebb and flow really when it comes to multi-class racing. You're going to gain some time when you get lucky with some back markets. You're going to lose some time, and but you only hope really that across the season it pretty much balances itself out. That's really all you can hope for. As well, this is currently Pascal Sticks up on screen, by the way, and yeah, this is him trying to chase down Smith.
He's absolutely flying at the moment. Fantastic stuff by the two core machines at the front of the pack, doing a really solid job. As I'm swooping back around the carousel, they go and look at the way that the car somehow handles itself over those curbs. There's just sometimes no give up whatsoever. You know, these cars are so fragile. You can bounce over a curb and it'll spit you off towards the barriers, and it'll be absolutely race-ending stuff. But they just manage it. They really do manage it. Somehow they just get it right time and time again. They continue to ride on board on this absolute roller coaster of a lap with Pascal Sticks. Great to see the performance that they can extract from this car. And look, just a tiny bit of opposite lock here and there, just to keep the momentum alive, just to keep the car running at as high a speed as possible. Some of these guys, I mean, this isn't the sort of car you can really slide around, to be honest, Sam. It's not like a touring car or a GT car that can get a little bit leery at times and still be manageable. These things are either stuck to the road or they're not. But some of these really good drivers, they manage to find that sort of middle ground, don't they? And balance it so beautifully. I can't seem to hear Sam anymore, so I'm not sure if they can hear me at all, but we are, I think, having a bit of an issue with the overlay coming through at this side, so apologies about that. We will try and get it sorted ASAP, so we can make sure that we don't lose any of the coverage. I'm just going to wait and see what we get in terms of having this fixed for you, so just bear with me a moment, everybody, and bear with us here on Apex Racing TV. We'll get this sorted and we'll be back with you. In fact, it's just been diagnosed. We are just having a slight issue with the overlay, so we're going to remain on board here with Pascal Sticks. You can see just how quickly they do come upon other cars in their own class. You know, these same machines, maybe some of these in the AM class, of course, not actually in the Pro class, but the way that they move up on one another just the difference in pace per driver is absolutely remarkable. We go on board now with one of the LMDH BMWs. For a moment there with the livery, didn't it? Looks slightly different, of course, at the front end. The pace of these BMWs very, very impressive. Great to see these sorts of prototypes coming out of the new regulations, of course, for the World Endurance Championship and in IMSA as well. We got to see them at the Daytona 24 Hours just a couple of weeks ago, and we look forward to seeing how they all behave over the rest of the year, where their strengths and weaknesses lie.
So Newman, leading the way. Apologies for those couple of issues that you were deprived of for that entire 2 minutes, but I guarantee for the next 50 minutes I will not shut up in order to make up for all of it. It's still racing around, and still a while away from the first pit stops as well. There's absolutely no stopping this.
It's like you hit a buzz. It's like you hit a hornet's nest with a stick, and it just will not calm down at all. They are really holding a grudge. They are absolutely caning it around this circuit. Absolutely everywhere. Some of these BMW drivers are having to show here. They really have to be cautious mid-corner. Some of the higher speed corners on this circuit, the BMW just has that extra ability. Look at the closing speed there. Rory O'Shea, right behind that LMP2 car, manages to just get right up behind it, but somehow not clip the back end. Really, really impressive. Up over the top of the hill they go once again. And now down towards the carousel they go again. More cars diving down the inside of others. It's just constant moves going on. I really actually feel sorry for the LMP2 cars in this situation. They have got no give or let up whatsoever.
It's certainly less in their hands as it is in the MDH cars, which at least have the opportunity to be a little bit more passive instead. To be reacting to whatever the cars are doing around them. Sam Coleman might be overtaken here by Adam Coles, who's actually for position overall. But of course, we've seen that it's between car classes, he will not mind at all giving that one up, and then he's back with the drivers who are actually a full lap ahead. But there goes Adam Coles for Indy Autosports, and he's got plenty of experience. A former LMP1 driver, I believe, as well. Adam Coles has experience being the fastest cars. That was very wide for that looked like one of the GTS cars. I'm not entirely sure which one it was. Could be French Men's. He was skimming the outside wall.
Sam Coleman has battered the outside wall. He's actually gone into it before the final corner, and unfortunately had to take a trip into the pit lane. And has now put the car in its box. Big damage to that machine. For quite a while. He might just take on the fuel at this point and see whether he can go further on. But like you say, Sam, 40 minutes is the usual sort of pit stop window we'd expect. So I think a usual day at the office for him now as we look back at Sasha Engelhardt. He's up. Payment esports machines, and he's up into second place. Yes, absolutely ahead of the core car of Pascal Stix. Very important moment that, because it means there's not a lockout at the front of the field now, so Pascal can't take it easy anymore. He can't think about saving fuel at this point. Then again, these guys don't really want to be worried about saving fuel at any point in this race. Still, Sasha Engelhardt has shown the commitment, he's shown the determination, and now second place is his current reward, but he needs to be patient again now behind these LMP2s.
Into the wall goes one of the LMP2 amateur drivers there, and that seemed like a pretty bad hit, honestly. could have been Thomas Mork, potentially. He was just hitting the wall on that occasion. But yeah, Engelhardt's able to get past, but you can see how much time he lost. He caught at an awful point because you can't overtake into that final corner safely, at least. These cars just don't have the overspeed. Maybe in an LMP1 car could maybe get past into the final corner, but not in the LMDHs. And so that is one of the worst places to catch into that penultimate corner, because you are stuck for 2 consecutive corners until you get onto the start-finish straight sticks. Sitting in 3rd position now, got a big gap back to Duguay in 4th position. Gebhard back up into 5th, and got a massive gap now to Soren Kroll, who is 2nd in the LMDH category, 8.7 seconds that is up to. In fact, being occupied by Martin Ziegeveld. These two haven't really led each other up for the entire race so far, and Ziegeveld did catch about half a second that last time.
Yeah, he's moving up to him pretty quickly at the moment, isn't he? So I think it's only going to be a matter of time to see whether there is a position change. Jack Wells and Soren Kroll, 2nd and 3rd in their class at the moment. We look here at Soren Kroll, the German, number 228 for Beach Racing, just making his way past some, or hoping to make his way past some lap traffic anyway. That's the 308 car that he's trying to make his way through. That's Alexander Delatraz still leading the LMP2 Pros. So of course he has to be very careful not to upset the class leader, but Alexander flying at the minute, doesn't want to give up an inch of time here to let these guys go. He's got no choice really when it comes to the start-finish straight, and now both of them go flying on by. Just trying to figure out who it is that's actually with Soren Kroll there, because it's Martin Ziegeveld for the overall position that is with him. Apologies, I thought we were talking about a different battle before within the same class, but no, Ziegeveld is all over the back of him now, but that is Pro trying to get past Am. So in terms of championship points, this isn't going to amount to anything really, is it?
Well, I hate to contradict you, Chaz, but it will absolutely affect things, because the points are for the car last position.
Oh yeah, sorry,
So,
yeah, I got it the wrong way around. Apologies.
Yeah, there will be a couple of extra points available, but still, it's not taking points off your rival, so it still doesn't quite count as much. So that you're not going into direct competition across the championship. Adakonis, who's really been at the back of this lead pack in the LMP2s for the entire race, so saved a lot of fuel. I'd be surprised if he makes it as far as maybe 44 minutes into this race, as we've got a slow car on the inside there. Coming to a stop. Not entirely sure who that was, honestly, but very slow out there. Delchaz opening that gap back up to 4.7 seconds, so looking good for him. Gachea, meanwhile, only 1.2 seconds ahead of Harley Smith. Those two have really been close to one another at the front of that class for quite a while, and Sorensen, meanwhile, having to keep behind Janssen. That's Furano Motorsport versus Team Shazoo. Good to see Shazoo out there. We've seen them at the top of main championships. Kai Thiago Marteau, in fact, representing them in the past, who of course is now racing for Race Clutch. That's Oliver Newbury. That was actually a move on David Sampson. 8th position being gained there for the British driver.
Yeah, nice stuff by Newbury, and all of a sudden Sampson's going to fly back around him as they go down the back straight, so to say. The BMW now going to thread it through the middle. Lovely stuff, great flying formation, guys. And look at that, instantly you get Newbury thinking, right, give me some of the slipstream, give me some of the movement. Doesn't quite work out for him though, and Sampson stays ahead. That was Mark Custer's 377 machine. No, it was not, apologies. It was Mark Custer's is just in front of this lot. It was actually one of the
Kieran Smart.
It was, yes. Absolutely right. Kieran Smart making his way through. He's gained 12 places from where he started in this race, down in 29th position. So he's doing all right, but still not quite as high up as he'd want to be. Still behind some of the LMDH AM drivers. We look back now, though, from David Sampson's machine, looking at the evil eyes of Newbury's car. These cars certainly look aggressive from the front. They're glorious with all their canards and splitters and all the sharp bits on the front of them. Awesome to look at. The 326 though, dancing around behind him, gets very close under braking, and that's the thing in cars like this though, Sam, I'm going to say it till the cows come home, because of how well they accelerate, how well they brake, how well they turn in and get off the corner. It's so difficult to judge what the car in front of you is going to do and react to it accordingly. when they just give it a stab of brakes a little bit earlier or a little bit later than you expect, it can all come crashing down very quickly.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Unfortunately, these two have been locked with one another for quite a while, so they should be familiar enough with what each other are going to do. As get past, I think that may have been Stephen. No, it wasn't Stephen. Could have been Connor Davison, just getting out of the way. He was already used his fast repair after an instance earlier on in the race. It's obviously going to be able to hold on to this one. It's a train of 3 at the moment, and well, that's Solheim getting very close, and Solheim couldn't go down the inside there, and that is between teammates. So the Swedish driver passing Newbury there, and well, Solheim, whilst those two are battling on that last one, again a second, so I think he may well be past his rival as well soon. Maya, I think, has just got past Alderman as well. There he goes. He's up into 27th place now. It's Anders Maya. He's having a very good race. Wasn't a particularly great qualifying for him. But honestly, this race pace is potentially good enough to win this event. He's got 4.7 seconds to catch up to Delachaz. Already, he's dropped Alderman and Adakonis, who, well, the latter of whom will be desperate to copy his rival as well.
Yeah, absolutely will be. We want him to take advantage wherever he can. Here is the move, and as Maya looking very racy, nicely tucked in at the toe section of the boot. Oh, there's a moment for Moldovan in front of him. Wow, it's still wiggling on its way over the crest of the hill. And Maya says, thank you very much, I will take advantage of that. And instantly, Moldovan moves over to the right-hand side to try and defend from Justin Adakonis. And now he's going to have to do more than defend from Adakonis, because with decent slipstream, he's going to move past on the left-hand side. Now he's going to get a tiny bit of slipstream from the car in front, or is he? Because no, moving over to the right-hand side there. Maya says, no thank you, I'm going to share this slipstream between the pair of you. You two continue to fight. Look at that there. Adakonis tries to get a cut back down the inside on the exit of the carousel. Doesn't work for him. Moves over to the right before they go into the boot section. Brakes a little bit earlier, hoping for a better exit here. Moldovan driving the car very well, putting it exactly where he needs to put it. Great defensive driving from him so far, but based on the pace he put in the early stages, Sam, I don't think we were expecting to see him have to defend at all during this race.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. Particularly that sort of 5 to 15 minute period. He was pretty much the fastest driver out on circuit, wasn't he? At least in his class. Yeah, just hasn't really delivered since. And well, Adakonis looks so much happier through these corners. Seems to have a bit more front end. Could be the setup, perhaps could be some tyre wear starting to play a part for these drivers. And well, it feels like it's only going to be a matter of time. Decent slipstream effect in these cars, but Adakonis just struggling to get the turning right there. I think he may have dipped a wheel onto the grass and had to back out of it. Delachaz into the pits now. So that's our leader, and will he be able to get to the end of the race? He's pushing it, Chaz. That is going to be a long second stint for him. It's at 38 minutes going to be the second stint.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a tough one to call, actually. Depends on where he's been able to save fuel, I guess. If there have been any moments where he could just save a tiny bit in some slipstream from any of the guys that were lapping him, or just, let's face it, he wasn't at the front when... So, well, sorry, he was at the front of his class, but he wasn't behind any LMP2s at any point, really. So he's not been able to sort of save fuel by sitting in a slipstream of cars in his class. Any car that he would have sat behind would have disappeared away from him in a straight line. So, yeah, interesting that by Delachaz. I mean, it's not like he needed any more clear air or anything, so I'm intrigued to see how this one plays out.
As he trundles down the pits, opportunity now for Maya to really make up some turns on low fuel. He's got a decent amount of clear air as well, has Anders Maya. So if he wants to hemorrhage into that 4.7 second gap, this is his chance. I doubt he'll be able to take the lead necessarily, but as well as getting potentially a short pit stop due to getting all that slipstream earlier on in the race, the lead that looked so strong for Delachaz has suddenly been scuppered. I think we could well have a seismic change to the front of this LMP2 road as Maya, I think he's into the pits. You can't see him. There he goes. So I mean, the fuel is potentially even tighter than I thought, and also in the LMDH class, Sticks into the pits, Smits, Wells and Smart. It's pretty much what we expected, but on steroids, honestly. I thought they would maybe be able to make the 40-minute mark, but pretty much no one's been able to do it, Chaz.
No, it seems like because of the flat-out nature of most of this circuit here, they're not getting a chance to at all. They haven't been able to lift off one little bit in the opening half of this race, so I'm excited to see now whether anybody can make it to the end with just a one stopper. I think that's now going to be the next question that comes to our minds. Because before we were thinking, well, who's going to be able to sort of make it on a one stop and which drivers will be on a two stop? But now I'm thinking there's going to be less people on a one stop. It's going to be quite the focusing sort of end to the race. This, and I say that it's still 38 minutes gone, a long way left to go.
So is just going to be able to keep the lead? It was only one extra lap then that his rivals were able to get on him. But it was a very slow pit stop for Delachas, so I think he may have lost out to his rivals because there's 35 seconds. No, it wasn't too bad. So Sam Coleman is ahead of him, but Coleman pitted much earlier. Coleman's definitely got to do another stop. So Delachas is still in the effective lead. He's got 3.5 seconds over Anders Meyer. So Meyer was able to take a second out of Delachas right there. But yeah, Delachas, not too bad for him. Similar length pit stops as well. Oldberg and Adakonis now wheel to wheel out there, as these guys are also wheel to wheel. Maximilian Fritz involved in this one. He's just behind Adakonis. Apologies, Adakonis with a slowish pit stop because he's lost a fair amount of time to Oldberg there. 5 seconds is now the gap.
It's incredible how quickly you can change in pit stops, isn't it? And one of the things I always say about especially in sim racing, when you get endurance racing like this, there's no way for us to know exactly what drivers are going through and what's going on. You know, we can't talk to their team managers very suddenly on the pit wall. We can't speak to the drivers themselves, and there's no visual and physical way of seeing what happens in the pit stops either. You know, whether they do have a drive-through penalty or whether they have to stop and hold for speed in the pits or anything like that. There's no physical way of us knowing, so we have to speculate so much. I was saying this with Peter Mackay last night on a different championship, that we have to just think about what might be going on and wait for confirmation a little bit later in the race. So it keeps it very intriguing as Sasha Engelhardt, boy, he's pushing this thing around right now. The back end stepping out on that car twice as he goes over the top of the hill, coming out of the toe of the boot. And again, we come back to the same point, Sam. These cars, they do not dance around. They do not show off a lot of body language like something like a Porsche Cup car or a GT3 car. But in these drivers' hands, we're certainly making that so.
Yeah, and Engelhardt probably quite frustrated that he's lost the position to Pascal Stix during the pit stop sequence. So it's back to effectively a course in Racing 1-2 as Newbury, that was with PJC. I think Newbury was a lap ahead, and that has cost him. So because Newbury was in that battle with his teammate and David Sampson. David Sampson up on screen there, the 307 just being overtaken by Sasha Engelhardt. So yeah, Engelhardt frustrated that he's lost that position to Stix. Stix now 5.8 seconds behind Newman. Sapini leading the way. I don't know if Sapini's got some fuel in his pockets or something, but he seems to be going a few laps longer than everyone else right now. Easy one stop for Kaiman Sapini. I seriously doubt he'll be able to make it round one more time, but well, at least he's been able to lead the lap. I think that would count for something if there's a bonus point for it, like many events that Watkins Glen have in NASCAR, but unfortunately that's pretty much all for nothing. But well, he can push absolutely flat out for the second half of the race at least, no chance.
Yeah, that's it. He's going to have that confidence now to push where others may still have to fuel save a little bit, or just take it easy until they know they can definitely get to the end, because let's not forget, this is a timed race rather than a set amount of laps. So we obviously need to make sure, well, drivers need to make sure, I should say, that they have this down to a T. They do not sort of have that 3 seconds or 5 seconds left when they cross the line and get an extra lap in the books. We have seen it before, haven't we, Sam, especially in many other endurance leagues, where you'll see drivers slow down if they've got enough of a cushion and they are the race leader. You'll see them slow down to make sure they don't get an extra lap come the end of the race, because they do feel them that finely that if there is that extra lap, if we are within about 10 seconds left of the race when the leader crosses the line, some of them won't make it. They won't get to the end. It's as simple as that, and they'll be willing them on and even slowing down to get lapped. You know, we've seen so much that these drivers will do to get to the end of a race like this. And I'm excited, especially with this being the first round of the championship, to see who falls by the wayside. Put your teeth into it.
Grissetti had a very early pit stop. He's pitted on lap 7 of this race, so he will definitely have to pit again, probably in 3 or 4 laps time. So very much take that LMDH lead with bag of salt, because that's not going to last for a whole lot longer. Still pretty much Gebhard leading that one ahead of Kroll, who's had lost touch, but it's back there again. Wells Kittelman, we haven't talked about too much, in 13th place, who did not win this round in the NASCAR events that we've had. I think he did win at Daytona, which probably slightly bigger, but yeah, no winning pedigree quite at this Watkins Glen circuit. Even they did go on to win a couple of championships, as the field slightly spreading out, at least in the LMP2s. It's the close battles going on in the LMDHs right now. And yeah, I think Grosseto being overtaken by Duguay, which is really a battlefield position, honestly, Chaz, but Duguay has to get past quick because Grosseto is much off the pace, and if he keeps on getting held up, Sapini's going to join us.
Yeah, that's it. He can't afford to lose any time at all with these pit stops going on around him now and everybody filtering back into position. Any time that you are out of your usual slot, let's say, from how the race was progressing before anyone came into the pits, you're just going to feel that right to the end, and it's going to be painful to have to put up with that, and it means that you are on the back foot going into the final moments of the race. So Kevin Duguay now moving around, trying to find any space that he can, but to be honest with you, Grosseto is absolutely flying in front. Look at that, Duguay round the outside at the carousel. He finds any way of just keeping the speed up around these LMP2s. Now into the boot section, he's pushing hard, but the gap has opened up a little bit there. You know, Grosseto defended very well into the first corner, and Duguay went wide, and then since then he's not been able to close back up again. But look, moments like that there, where Grosseto just isn't quite as quick coming out of the boot section, that's what makes the difference. And now Duguay wants to come through, but again, lap traffic in the way. Is that Sampson, I believe, in the Apex Racing Academy car is just in front. Expect a big move from Duguay here to throw it to the inside. Still nothing comes of it though, and look, Sampson slots back in between the two of them. That's not going to go down well with the Frenchman at all. He's now back down the inside of the penultimate corner. Still just making his way through, but look, already, Sam, the gap opens up again. It's very frustrating this time for the man currently in 5th place.
Yeah, and Sapini's right on his tail, so Sapini gained by, I think, about a second on the previous lap. On this lap, Sapini gains by 0.8 of a second. As here comes Schmitz. That's Schmitz going past Gebhard for P7. And the geodesic man, I think, has been able to consolidate on that move from Schmitz. 162 up into P7 now after issues earlier on. Started up in P4 actually at the start of this race, but had an issue. But he's making his way back up, and yeah, Duguay just losing so much time at the moment. P4 is very much possible for a whole host of drivers. The top 3 very much detached from the rest. Even looking strong in first place, Sticks and Engelhardt close for second and third. But Grosseto, Duguay, well, probably not Grosseto, he's got to pit again, but Duguay, Sapini, Schmitz, Gebhard, even Chalon, all right in that mix for 4th position. As I think this time, I think Duguay is going to be able to do it. Grosseto finally going to come out second best. Also gets blocked in a little bit by the LMP2 car, who does not leave a whole lot of space for these guys at all. And that was very close contact, and Duguay eventually be able to get past. And this now is his opportunity to make a bit of a breakthrough, because these guys are going to be held up for the rest of this lap. Yeah,
he needs to crack on now. He needs to absolutely move. Sapini, absolute commitment there into the second to last corner, really throws it down the inside. Very well done indeed. There's still about half an hour left of this race to go, so lots more time for this to go right, lots more time for it to go wrong though, Sam, as we both know. Frank Smits here trying to chase down the 2 cars ahead of him. Come on, Sapini just coming out of turn 1 now. You can see him moving away up the hill, and it's such a painful moment to know that there's a car between you and the guy that you're directly chasing for position overall in the race. He's going to be absolutely chewing, well, I was going to say, yeah, never mind. He's just spitting feathers, that's the phrase we should go with. Frank Smits right now, he's going to be hoping for anything to move this car out of his way and for Sapini to come into any sort of issues. But again, he needs to think about the fact that he's got his own vehicle beat traffic behind him as well. So this is still busy stuff, 47 minutes into this race.
That's up to Apex Racing Academy, one of the sponsors for this series. Apex Racing Academy for running so many car packs, data packs for a variety of cars on iRacing, and certainly if you want to get faster on iRacing in this car, well, in the MDH cars or in the P2 cars, check out apexracingac.com. Get yourself a bronze, silver or gold subscription. We all have them here at Apex Racing TV, and we absolutely encourage you to get them because it is so such an effective way to get past the coaching sessions and the setups as well, really enabling you to find your absolute peak pace. So do check out apexracingac.com for more details on that. Because Seto into the pits, that's what we expected, because he pitted on lap 7, had an issue, and that means that he's now out the way he was. Very much a pain in the side for many a car, particularly Duguay, who probably lost about 3 seconds stuck behind Gosette, but Gosette will be back into his rightful position, and well, should be quick for the rest of the race. We'll have fresh tyres, because I believe these cars are all changing tyres at all of their pit stops. Sam Coleman being caught by Alexander Delachaz. However, Coleman does still need to make another pit stop, so this isn't really for position, but again, it's a situation a bit like Gosette, where he's not racing these guys, but he can still make a difference.
Yeah, that's it. If you can still be in the mix and make any sort of change, then why not? You know, you've got every right to be there in the race. Whether it's a racetrack, you can put your car wherever you want, as long as you're not sort of illegally affecting anybody's race with all that traffic making a big problem for someone else. Then yeah, let's maybe not do that. But if you're just in a different class and you're thinking about championship points, then why not? Give it a go. You're not obliged in a championship like this, where overall position matters within your car class, if that makes sense. So if you're in a BMW against, say you're an AM and you're against a pro, you have every right to defend that because your championship points will still be affected. So we will see a lot of very interesting battles and maybe some frustrated drivers, let's say, in the pro class, especially if they get held up by any of the AMs. But as we've said multiple times, they have every right to do it. Here's your outright race leader, though, Sven Newman, doing a great job at the moment for Core Sim Racing 1. He's been pretty untouched since the very start of this one. He did have his teammate behind him in the early stages. He did drop back to 3rd, and now he's back up into 2nd place for now. Pascal Stix has got a good 3 seconds over Sasha Engelhardt. And Sasha is not going to disappear anytime soon, but still that battle for 4th place is now developing, as Kevin Dorgay has got Kimon Sapini right behind him. Here they are, in fact, onto the back straight. Sapini well into the slipstream, and they're both going to fly around the LMP2 car, or down the inside of it at least, into the carousel. That's the number 377 of Mark Custers, and he's just overtaken like that car is in reverse. It's still amazing the pace difference between these classes. Down to boot section once again, Sapini still behind Dorgay, but a great battle all the same. And let's not forget, Sam, they started together on the grid in this race. They actually started in 8th and 9th position, and they've moved together forwards through this pack as a pair.
Yes, yeah, absolutely right. So, really evenly matched, because Sapini was the one who went particularly far in that first stint, so I think he's got about 2 lap fresher tyres, which will really help him. Oh, that was really close behind. I'm not sure who that involved. Could have been Shalon, who I think was 3 wide for a moment, going through the heel. Oh, so that's going to be contact potentially for the car ahead of Sapini. Duguay got away with that one, but being very aggressive. And this is Sapini's opportunity, so he's got a fantastic run here. We might go 3 wide heading into turn 1, or does he want to stay behind and get the slipstream for the back straight? The LMP2 absolutely sending it into the first corner, and Sapini had to sort of get out of the brakes and just be able to pull off the overtake. I think that was Haldas Yatortas. He was pushing it all the apologies. No, I'm not sure who that was in fact, but yeah, really committed on the brakes there. Sapini actually lost a little bit of time in the end and will be unable to catch up to Duguay, and this is when you sort of want a little bit of lower trim, whilst you sort of want the fastest setup possible, you also want a raceable setup, and right now Sapini needs that low drag in order to make a move.
I think it may have been Sutino Mihai in the 355 car, 30th place at the moment, that they've just gone past, because he's just gone 2 laps down, and he was, according to the timing screen, in a similar part of the circuit as those guys. But there you go, it was indeed. And part of me wants to say that's the Romanian flag, but I may get it wrong, because sometimes you see the Romanian flag.
I think that's right.
I may be getting that confused with the actual Moldovan flag that I was mentioning a little bit earlier. But yeah, great stuff from the 2 of them to make it through there, but it definitely looked like Mihai didn't want to give that up at all. We're back here with our race leader in the LMP2 AM class, Emmanuel Gacella, same country as well from Mihai, of course teammates at Walk Racing, and not quite walking away with it at the moment, because Harley Smith in the Outrun Motorsports is trying to outrun the Walk machine, which is quite the ironic team battle at the front. They've got BMW traffic making their way around them now, But this is where it's very important to keep you cool here, Sam. Not to do any outrageous manoeuvres, not to sort of prove too much of a point to these cars that you're getting out of the way. A lot of the time we always hear people discussing the fact that they would rather you just run your own line than make them work for the move.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to do it. Sapini gets underneath. Has he got the straight line speed to be able to pull this one up? No, Duguay is actually pulling away, or at least leveling out the pace. Yeah, I think Sapini's going to have to dip back into the toe here. There's no braking point either for the carousel. Well, that's ominous there for Sapini. He did not have the straight line speed. He got a nice run up the S's, but once he pulled out, once that air resistance kicks back in, he was not able to carry that momentum. So Sapini's going to really struggle to make this move, and now Frank Schmitz, who's been flying along in the second half of the race. In fact, Schmitz was half a second faster than the race leader that last time round. He is right with these guys, and honestly, I think it's the favourite for him to take this P4 position.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying, like you say, Sam, very rightly said as well. He is snuck under the radar in his matte black machine right now. It may have a lot of yellow and orange flashes on it, but still, it's certainly a stealthy machine.
I think the Batmobile on slicks is really, really quick, this Hydro Race geodesic racing machine at the moment. Car 162, currently in 6th place. Here we go on board now on the right-hand side of the bodywork, making a hell of a noise. Those wing mirrors are glorious, aren't they? I love the design of those wing mirrors, they look fantastic. But now he gets a front row seat for this battle going on in front of him, and all he's going to want to do here is pray for these guys to continue fighting this hard. He's not going to get any favours for him here from the LMP2 traffic. He's going to move over to the right-hand side. The LMP2 car stays over to the left, but he's going to again just be able to watch what these two do, and if they fight, all they're going to do is hold themselves up and give themselves up to Frank Schmidt's attacks here. So he's in a great spot right now. He's got a battle going on ahead of him, and he doesn't need to do too much to keep up with them, at least for some strong championship points.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time to do this one. Absolutely no rush. And so yeah, looking like it could be a good day for Schmitz when it didn't look like it might be earlier on in the event, but he really has been able to recover well. Still, Sam Corbin leading the way in the LMP2 Pros. Corbin's pace is electric right now. He does have to pit again, mind you. He will probably only pit with about 10 minutes of the race remaining, actually. But he's really quick. I think that low fuel helping him a bit, but he's on very old tyres. So I'm surprised that the ATRS Academy driver is quite as competitive as what he is at the moment. Alexander Delatraz in 2nd position at the moment in that class. But I think we'll take the race lead. But Anders Meyer now only 1.5 seconds behind Meyer after taking that P2 position of Moldovan some 20 minutes ago, has slowly been catching up to Delatraz just by half a tenth that last time round. But if he keeps this up, he could well be in that lead battle by the end of this race.
Yeah, well, that's it. You just need to keep plugging away in moments like this. You know, when you do get a bit of clear air around you, lap traffic aside, it's very easy to get complacent and not be in a rhythm. I say sometimes it's easy to fall into a rhythm and put in your best laps, but ideally you want to be doing that and not getting complacent. It's very easy to do both. So Anders Meyer certainly pushing on right now, 3rd place in his class. And he hasn't got too much ground to gain on Coleman, just 2 places ahead of him. I mean, 3 of them are separated by 5.5 seconds, and it just shows you the level of competition at the top of this championship as well, Sam. This is only the first round of the season, so we could see some very different performances from these drivers as the season goes on. But it is remarkably close in this opening race and very, very entertaining. David Sampson now in the 307 machine, making his way past I believe that was lap traffic, was it not?
I think that was Thomas Sorensen.
Oh, it was actually for a move, yes, apologies. It was Sorensen, although, no, it says... Oh yeah, sorry, they're in separate classes, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a bit confusing. But they are fighting for points. Yeah, I feel like a lot of explaining is required to understand what's going on. But that's why we're here, Chaz. And that's why whenever there's always calls for us to be removed, we say no. These very complex regulations. Who else is going to explain them?
Well, what I'm doing is portraying any potential viewer's confusion, but bringing it into the commentary box for them. So
exactly,
making it relatable content for people.
that's really, you're the everyman in the commentary box right now. Harley Smith is going to go for the lead in the LMP2 AM category. He's been closing this gap for a while, 10th.5 faster that last time round. Does he have the straight line speed now as he propels his LMP2 car down this back straight? They are almost dead level. Outside, inside, either way is very possible here at the carousel, and Smith is trying to exhibit that right now. I don't think he's quite got his car still alongside, so that was a decent first attempt, but it's going to have to be on another occasion that he takes that lead. But Kuchelia, after leading comfortably earlier on in this race, so far away from that now, and I think if Smith can just use a little bit of traffic to his advantage, he could well be passed, as we've got a car in the wall on the outside.
I think Connor Davison is off the track at the moment. Number 422 machine down in 41st place. It's going to be lower than that now with that incident. A bit of a wobble there by the look of it from Harley Smith. Not sure if that was just the camera doing it a bit of an injustice, but he flashes the lights at the car that comes through and passes him. I think that was Martin Zayeveld. And now we've got another car just squeezing its way through as well. That was Jack Wells. Just squeezes past. And now we go back to Manuel Coachella. 1.6 seconds though, and that will be why there was flashing of the lights by Mr. Smith, because he's in a race lead fight here directly with one of his rivals, so he wants to make sure that none of this lap traffic holds him up at all. Back to Kimon Sapini, who is still trying to give Kevin Dorgay a work over here. Dorgay's been great, hasn't he? Very, very committed defence, and he's not letting anything get past him at all.
Yeah, he needs to start taking some wings off that machine, does Sapini. You don't need the rear wing in this situation. He needs some more straight line speed, but he doesn't have it at the moment. It means that there's pretty much no way he can get past it. There's no big enough braking areas where he can get it done. So I think honestly it's going to be through the traffic where his best opportunity is, even though he demonstrated a few laps ago that he's significantly faster. It's just not the slipstream advantage, but now he's the one who's losing out because of the slipstream, because of the back markers. And well, he was very fortunate that the LMP2 car wins the inside there rather than the outside, otherwise he would have been in a world of trouble. That was actually Sam Coleman, current leader in the LMP2 road category. He pretty much chose who was going to be there in third place, because had he stuck to the outside he would have really held up Sapini, who would have been a sitting duck against Schmitz, as those three all expand out again, and Sapini has to catch up all over again as O'Shea has been in a little bit of a collision. I think that was with Thomas Mork, who was just round in the background there. We're about to find out what happened between the two of them.
Yeah, Thomas Mork now coming to the end of the boot section, this will be the heel of the boot. Just turns in, unfortunately, like the other car isn't there, I'm afraid. I don't think he expected him to close in that much under braking, but I suppose you have to have eyes in the back of your head when you're racing these things, and in that moment it seemed like Mork did not. He carries on at least, no major damage or anything by the look of it. It doesn't end up in the wall as the car goes sideways and he just loses a bit of time. Kieran Smart has just lost a bucket load of time to a car around him. I just saw, for some reason, my eyes were drawn to him on the timing screen there, and he just went flying down and lost a load of time. Yeah,
you're right now. Well, he must have gone off at the final corner, and somehow he's got no damage on that car, so bizarre incident was just happened there to Kieran Smart. I haven't even seen him come up as crashed on the event view either, so...
No. My eyes were just drawn to the fact that it changed from the usual red when he was close behind another car to then go yellow all of a sudden and then go white very quickly. And it was just flying. The gap was opening up a lot. So I think he was in a battle with Fabio Grassetto, and then
I think he lost the position,
Yeah, I think he's been overtaken, and then he must have had like one of those, what we would call a half spin, when the car just goes sideways, a slam on the brakes, and it comes to a stop and then off you go. So here we are then. This is going to be it. So Fabio Grassetto coming up behind him. Is Fabio going to send it down the inside, or is he going to have a moment all on his own? He's clipped the grass, and yep, there it is.
There you go. Half spin.
I like that.
He didn't hit the wall. He not hit the wall.
No, you could call that smart stuff, couldn't you? That was great. Absolutely great by Kieran Smart. Lovely little slide. He could tell us that he meant that because he knew that Fabio was going to go past him eventually. Top notch by the Track Scotland driver. Very well done.
Remarkable stuff. Shout out to another one of our sponsors, by the way, Virtual Racing School, of course, providing lots of dates packs to get faster in a variety of cars, 50 different cars on iRacing, from rallycross to single-seaters, even timezones as well. You can get faster with Virtual Racing School, and of course also a fantastic hardware as well that they provide. Wheelbase, pedals, and their new wheel rim as well, which will be available at the end of March. And if you want to have a go at it, then come to the Apex Racing Sim Centre. You can try out all the Virtual Racing School's equipment. You can also buy it from the Apex Racing Sim store or the Virtual Racing School's store as well. So certainly do check it out. It'd be very nice to meet any of you viewers if you fancy joining or coming down to Corby or going up to Corby to try out any of the stuff that Virtual Racing School provide. Still Newman leading the way 3 seconds ahead. I just remembered, by the way, I remembered half an hour ago, that Newman did win in the last time that we visited this track in Apex Racing League. He won in the NASCAR trucks. So looking to make it back-to-back win. Schmitz, meanwhile, is ahead of Sapini. So Sapini wasn't able to get past Duguay, and Schmitz has taken advantage of that now. He's up into P5, past Sapini, and now the time is ticking for Schmitz to catch and pass the Delta V Racing driver.
Yeah, that's it now. Clock is definitely ticking. We have, as of right now, 11 minutes of this race left to go, and we all know that will absolutely fly by. And I'll tell you what, Kevin Dorgay, it's going to be the longest 11 minutes of his racing career, I can tell you, because not having just one of these guys behind you, but having two is going to be big pressure. The gap further up the order from Newman to Sticks to Engelhart, that's stayed around the same. There's about 3 seconds, 3.5 between each of them, as you can see. So this is the main battle to look at in the LMDH Pro classes. Ooh, a little bit out of shape there, I'd argue. Kevin Dorgay, the back end seemed to over-rotate slightly anyway. Look how close they're running to that final wall though out the last corner. It's very impressive. The accuracy to do that lap after lap is insane. Looking at the other classes, we've got Gebhard leading the way by 12 seconds in LMDH AM. He's got quite the comfortable lead. But then in LMP2 Pro and AM, the gap is less than half a second, and it's less than 2/10 of a second in the case of the AMs as well. So still plenty of racing to do for these guys, and still plenty of traffic. And here is the lead battle in LMP2 AM. This is Gacella and Smith right together now. The Outrun Motorsports, as I said, Sam, trying to outrun the walk machine.
Yeah, but he's he sort of lost some time, didn't he, a few laps ago when it came to the traffic. He's able to gain back through his high. Smith, can he take advantage of the LMDH here? Will the LMDH send it? No, Smith is going to have to back in behind, but he does get a little bit of an extra draft here. Yeah, it's not going to be enough this time round. It's just a case where he just needs that perfect run, because that time he lost any opportunity at being able to go for the lead due to that LMDH car. And that's why you really can't leave it to the last lap in this situation. I don't think they would anyway, but even if it was the case that it wasn't managed to be behind, you just got to take it straight away, because you don't know what that traffic is going to do. And so the moment he has that chance, he's got to go for it, Smith. Because overtaking has been surprisingly tricky, obviously, tonight, Chaz. Well, I think Schmitz might be finding that himself quite soon. Let's see if he's got better straight line speed than Sapini, because Sapini just did not have the straight line speed to pass Duguay, who seems quite fast down the straights himself. I wonder if Smith's got that car a little bit more trimmed down.
Yeah, it can sometimes be down to the setup, of course, and how the car is feeling, and drivers tend to come into their own in certain parts of the race. You know, I know drivers that they prefer a bit more of an understeery and heavy car earlier on in the race, and then other times I know the drivers that like it just a little bit more lively. And yeah, look, it's definitely growing slightly, isn't it? Trying to get slipstream now. It's coming in by just a couple of thousandths at the end of the straight, so very intriguing to see. And that's also going to be a big boost of confidence for Dorgay as well. I'm wondering if on his relative whatever software he's running to view that, whether he can see those thousandths or not, or whether it just remains as 1/10 of a second extra or less, or you know, we might not be able to see the microseconds. Still, Smith seems to be very confident on the brakes though. He's really sending it in hard, and he's got a lot more corner speed around this section of the circuit. So this is definitely where he's going to be trying to line something up at least on Dorgay, but the Frenchman is doing everything he can at the moment to hold off the Dutchman. And still, if this does go all wrong for them, Sam, Sapini is definitely waiting in the wings with a decent view of all this. He may not stick with them exactly, but if, like I say, anything should happen, touch wood it doesn't, for these two drivers, it could be a very different story altogether.
Yeah, it really could change significantly as they complete another lap. Actually, a good end to that lap there for Sapini being able to get within 0.3 of a second. I'm surprised Sapini was overtaken in the end by Schmitz because, yeah, Schmitz seems to be the slowest of anyone, honestly. Unless they're saving fuel, of course. Was very tight on fuel. A few of these drivers, Sapini went super far in the first stint, so he had absolutely no problems. But yeah, it can't be said for particularly the LMP2s. Watch out in the final couple of laps for anyone to make a last dash pit stop, as that's almost down the inside. Is he able to get past Schmitz? Closer than ever. That time he was able to gain some time, but it wasn't quite enough. But that's as close as Frank Schmitz has got to a P4 finish so far tonight. In the LMP2 Pros, Delatrez is under huge pressure from Meyer. I think Meyer might be within a tenth of a second at the moment. Is he able to get past? Here he goes. This is the chance that Anders Meyer has been waiting for, and he's left the door open as well, but he's bump drafting. He is bump drafting Delatrez. He doesn't want to get past. Well, is that fuel saving, I wonder? Albeit if he's fuel saving, you'd lift off. And unfortunately, I don't have sound, Chess, but I don't think he was lifting off there. That did look like a proper bump draft.
Oh yeah, he'd still definitely have to have his foot in it to at least be pushing the car in front down the straight.
And sorry, P1 for the LMP2 AMS. Here we go. Smith. Has he been able to get past this time? He's going the long way round. It didn't work last time. This time he's a little bit more alongside, but no, he's still in second place. Can't pull it off on the outside. He's the inside, it looks like.
He's trying to run rings around him, isn't he? But now it depends if Gacella can walk the walk, quite essentially, and hold on to this lead position. It's fantastic to see, though, even after an hour and 9 minutes of racing, it comes down to just a couple of car lengths between both of the LMP2 Pro and AM leaders. It's really entertaining to see. Harley Smith is putting all the pressure on in the world. Frank Smits now gets a bit of slipstream down the back straight. He really needed that, and he got one hell of a run as well. We've seen that these cars don't slipstream massively down places like this, but Dorgay has not really got very far to go here, as wow, Smits really keeps him to the outside line. And whoa, Sapini has gone off and he's clipped the barrier. That's surely put pay to any advantage he could have had, that he could have taken at least from these two battling in front of him. Sapini maybe just getting a bit distracted by what they were doing, a little bit overexcited, and the Italian has gone into the barriers, and now it's going to definitely be between, I should say, Smits and Dorgay for fourth position. Smits, though, as soon as he's got in front, he's absolutely left Dorgay here. He's played a blinder there, hasn't he, Sam? Great stuff.
Yeah, it seems to be through the corners that Smits has the advantage, and I think now that he's got that move done, that seems to be about it for this battle. So excellent work there from the Dutch driver. I think Jack Wells may have just been able to get past Zijeveld as well. As this is for the lead in the P2 abs. Smith again on the outside. Now he's again a little bit more alongside. He's certainly going to be in play going into the chute this time around, over the curve. The car handles that well. Now he's got the upper hand, but he brakes early. Or was it late for his rival, because now he's able to get past Harley Smith. He was patient on the brakes. I thought he was cautious, but actually it was Gachea who went in too deep there, and Gachea gives up the race lead for the first time in this entire event. He's led for 70 minutes, but it's not going to count for that, because in the last 5 minutes Harley Smith has got the lead, and that is two of our three big battles potentially resolved, and it's still just Anders Meyer who now needs to pass Alexander Delatrez for the P2 Pro victory.
Yeah, well, we always say, don't we, Sam, you can lead all the laps in a race, but if you don't lead the important one at the end, then it all counts for nothing. But fantastic stuff that by Smith. He kept the car down the inside, and hats off to Gachea, because he wanted to give as much room as he could down the inside to make sure Smith was there. But Smith broke early, still sent Gachea for a hot dog. He went really wide into the chute, and then Smith just picked up the pieces when he went in too deep. Here is Anders Meyer, though, going past Delatrez for that lead in the LMP2 Pros as well. They've got a BMW down the inside, but Meyer doesn't need to worry about that. He goes all the way out to the outside of the circuit, really opens up the carousel and holds on to it. Here is a look back, though, at how Sapini's gone off again, actually. This is down into the chute as he got damaged from before. That's way too hot, we can tell you. And oh no, oh, that's a big old hit as well, right at the back end of the car, Sam. And that could be the end of his race, actually. Oh, huge shame for Sapini, but great work there from Meyer. I wonder if Delatrez is... Oh, we've got almost contact here involving one of the Kogi Racing Team drivers, Mark Kustas, in this one, along with Sutinu Maihe. And Maihe is ahead, but there goes Kustas sending it through, overtake through the middle part of the corner, and he is past. He was a 10th of a second past that last lap as well, Kustas. So now he should be able to pull away. He needs to make pay through the second half of this lap.
in order to be free when they go onto the back straight next time round. But yeah, Anders Meyer leading the way in the P2 Pros, had to work so hard for that overtake, and now 0.3 of a second ahead. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Derchas, because he seemed to be able to fend off those positions for a while, but I guess Meyer was just waiting behind, saving fuel, and once he went for that move, it looked very simple.
Yeah, I think maybe if he does have that slight bit of fuel in reserve, he's able to just push the car to its limit now. He doesn't have to worry about saving at all. He doesn't need to think, what if there's an extra lap? He can just push. But yeah, all of a sudden Delatraz says, shoes on the other foot now, Sunshine, watch this. Closes right up to the back of him. Doesn't go out for it on the right-hand side, though, and to be fair, he could very well do that on the final lap, get a decent run, and then make the move, and from there, stay in front of Anders Meyer. So long as, I should say, he makes the move in a way that puts Meyer offline for the next corner, because then he has to compromise and then slow down a bit. We saw exactly what happened before when Smits overtook Dorgay. He did the exact same thing. You know, he made the move in a place where the other car is not going to be able to get a run back at him and counter-attack anything that he does. So, impressive stuff by Anders Meyer, holds on to the lead for now. And yeah, Mihai a moment ago definitely didn't want to give that position up to Custers. The two of them were very close together, and he still doesn't want to give positions up now to the BMWs as well. He's very happy to run closely to these other cars. I think he went a little bit too hot into the chute, and it was great stuff by Custers to cut underneath him. And now the aforementioned Custers moves out of the way of the BMW. Mihai wants to take advantage of this. Doesn't quite work for him there though, but he's still hanging on to his coattails. But unfortunately, Walk Racing Esports at the moment, it's more of a stumble, isn't it, as the cars lose important positions.
Yes, I was watching Sapini still not out on circuit, by the way, so Sapini now dropping behind the P2s. He will still get points, so there's more lenient rules now for the drivers. I think it's he finished within 6 laps. I think you score points. So I think Sapini will be all right on that front. Newman now a huge gap ahead, 6 seconds ahead of Pascal Stix. Stix actually falling a bit into the clutches of Sasha Engelhardt, only 1 second between, albeit he's got a lot of traffic coming up. Stix will maybe have to deal with that traffic, but we've only got this lap remaining, so I think Stix will actually have an easy time of it. Newman will be very cautious past those bountiful of drivers that he has to overtake. Will probably stay behind all of them and still be fine in that P1 position. Gebhard comfortably ahead in the P2, and however, Kroll is under huge pressure from Jack Wells. 0.4 of a second between those drivers, and they are only starting their final lap now. So this is the chance now for Wells, who on that last lap was 0.2 of a second quicker. On this lap, he takes out another ½ second, so he's catching quickly. And Kroll, if he gets held up by some back markers on this part of the circuit, could well be in trouble a bit. I think actually he's going to get a bit of a slipstream, which might relieve him of some pressure.
Absolutely will do, yeah. It's going to certainly help him out a bit, isn't it? Barney, the flagman, waving the white flag to signify final lap, but over here in Europe that means there's a slow car on the circuit. As now we go down the back straight towards the carousel. Jack Wells getting no slipstream at all in comparison to the LMP2s. And he's not been able to take advantage of that. We'll have to see what it looks like in the final sector of the lap for him. And Newman is into the final corner now to take the victory, Sam.
Yes, fantastic race win for Sven Newman's back-to-back wins at Watkins Glen for him in Apex Racing League, as Stix and Engelhardt round out the podium. Our next class winner, I think, will be Johnny Gebhard, who is pretty much all by himself right now, but comfortable race win. It looks like the Dr. Payment Esports driver who has the final corner, and that's a fantastic start for his Apex Racing League career, a win on his debut. Anders Meyer still with about half of the lap remaining. Harley Smith with a huge amount of his lap remaining. He was pretty much one of the last drivers to be overtaken. Meyer still ½ a second clear of Delatraz. I think Meyer was absolutely driving it correctly. These guys will be pushing it in terms of fuel, as so many of the P2 drivers will be as well. But Meyer, he spent so much of the race behind. In fact, it was a poor qualifying for him. I think when he started, he P5'd Anders Meyer, but boy did he manage to gain plenty of places in those early stages. Had 5 seconds to catch Alexander Delatraz, but he's been able to do it. And our very bad champion in the Porsche machines, he has adapted brilliantly to prototype hardware. Anders Meyer for Racing Lab Esports wins in the P2 Pros, and Harley Smith with just a few corners to go. In fact, he already crossed the line. Apologies, he was lapped at the end. He was able to beat Emmanuel Ichea in a fantastic battle. That late move for Smith, enough to take the race win in the P2 abs.
Yeah, excellent racing and so many battles all the way up and down. You've got to feel sorry for Gachea in that one. Led most of the race, like you said, Sam, 70 minutes of the race, only to lose it in the last couple of laps. But still, he'll enjoy the fact it was a great battle. You know, some of these drivers, they all get on really, really well, and they know that regardless of whether they win a race or not, if they've had a good battle to get there, then they can be very happy in the fact that they've enjoyed some solid racing and some great competition, at least. And I just wanted to mention as well, Soren Kroll, by the way, finished 7th in that race, started down in 30th position. He was the biggest mover in the field, gaining 23 places. Harley Smith as well, to get that win in that class, actually started 22 places further down than that. So he started 45th, and he goes on to win the class in 23rd overall. Amazing drives by some of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely mega stuff. Yeah, honestly, it feels like a lifetime ago that we had the start of that race. But Sven Newman was maybe the one constant. He was always out in the lead, 3.5 seconds ahead of Pascal Stix in the end. Sasha Engelhardt was closing in those ending stages, but still, 3rd place for him, a decent start. Frank Schmitz had problems to Schmitz, honestly, and watch out for him to win races later on this season. He had great pace towards the end. There's Kevin Duguay, Martin Ziegeveld, Kevin Chalon, Clement Marie, Marcel Vandenberg, and Kieran Smart rounding out the top 10 with that very close shave with the final wall earlier on. There was Kaiman Sapini with that crash 3 laps down the end. Haldus Utortus, lots of retirements actually in this class. Utortus, Kaitiago Marte, Adam Wright, Alexander Weitzel, Kevin Crosney, Lockie Brown, Danilo Piazza in 18th place. And then in the LMDH AMS, Johnny Gebhard ahead of Soren Kroll, Jack Wells, Kevin Kisman, Fabio Grassetti, Kevin Viamont, Rory O'Shea, Adam Coles, Ricard Boberg, and Valentin Amblar in 10th. Noah Chia, Doriano Ricucci, Balej Toroshki, Matthew McBride, and Guillaume Kempfer rounding out the 15 cars. Again, a few retirees. In the LMP2 Pros, late move for Anders Meyer to take the race win. Alexander Dotres will be disappointed with that result. Bogdan Moldovan was in a fairly distant 3rd place in the end, and all these guys got lapped by the leaders, not necessarily by in their own class, but by the LMDHs one extra time. Justin Adekonis, Mark Kustas, Sutinu Mahe, Sam Coleman, Bruno Solom, Oliver Newbury, David Sampson, Maximilian Fritz, Thomas Mork, and Dan Amor. 13th. Only one retiree, to be fair. Mork had a bit of a mare, though. In the AMS, Harley Smith, 0.6 of a second clear with, ahead of Emmanuel Gachea. We really were spoiled when it came to lead battles in that LMP2 category. Thomas Sorensen was in 3rd place. Luis Araya under the radar, strong 4th for him. Yannick Janssen was in 5th. Then it's David Grimadias, Stevens Mann, Connor Davison, PJC, Daniel Merchant was in 10th, and that might be everyone, in fact, actually, in the LMP2 category. Hopefully we get some interviews with drivers, and we do. Chaz, I'll be generous and let you have a first pick over who you want to chat with.
Why don't we drag in ex-teammate of mine, Jack Wells, and have a chat with Jack and see what he thought of that one. Yeah, I do have the access to drag him in, so we'll have a word, shall we? Jack, that was a very lively race around here at Watkins Glen. It's a really high-speed circuit in these remarkable cars. Talk us through what it felt like from your perspective tonight.
Yeah, it was a really, really long one. I think that one lasted longer than me and my teammate thought. So, yeah, we're just happy to make it through. I know there was a lot of incidents right at the start, so we kind of just stayed where we were, see how it shook out, and we ended up pretty good there.
And getting such a strong result in your class as well, must be pretty pleased with that one. It was certainly one of those races where you always had to have, and it will be for the rest of the season, you have to have eyes in the back of your head here to know who's in what class and who's around you, don't you?
Yeah, we were definitely keeping an eye on that. We were trying not to battle the guys in different classes too hard, so we were definitely keeping an eye on that. It's also useful if you have a pace advantage, though, I think, to over those guys to use that anyway, and you can put cars between yourself and other guys in your own class.
Yeah, that's it. It's knowing when to pick your battles in championships like this, isn't it? Because if you just try and mix it up too much with the wrong guy, you can end up off the circuit in the wall in the blink of an eye, and it's a big loss of championship points, isn't it?
Yeah, spot on. So we were just, straight away off round one, we're just thinking of the long game, just trying to click laps through for most of that race. It was luckily we were mostly out of any troubles and stuff. So yeah.
Well, it's certainly been entertaining to watch, Jack. Thank you very much for joining us, mate. Good to see a beast racing car on my screen again, and hopefully we'll speak to you again after the next one.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Jazz.
Cheers. Well, ex-teammate of mine, Jack Wells. I've not heard his voice in a long, long time, to be fair. But again, just one of those nights for drivers like Jack. He's right up there in the sharp end of his class, but even still, he's got the other class moving around him at all times, hasn't he?
Yeah, so many extra factors to take into account. With this multi-class racing, you can never have an easy run of it. You can never have a boring race as such, because you're always a fraction of a meter away from absolute disaster. We'll bring up next Anders Meyer, who joins us in the commentary box now. Anders, the winner in the P2 Pro category tonight. Congratulations, Anders. That is a mighty result. Just take us through the strategy in those closing stages. You were able to catch up to Alexander, and then we saw you do a little bit of bump drafting. I mean, what was the logic behind that?
First of all, thank you. I wasn't sure if I was helping him too much by bumping, but I think he pitted one lap earlier, and I knew that I had to save quite a lot to be able to finish the race, so I didn't think it would hurt me too much to bump him. Also, I saw that Bogdan was behind, so I didn't want him to catch us, so it was hard to know if it was a good idea to bump him or not, but I ended up doing it, and it worked out well in the end.
Yeah, it certainly managed to yield that fantastic position. Talk us through those early stages in particular, because it wasn't a fantastic qualifying for yourself. You had to make some overtakes. How was it racing against drivers in your own class whilst you had the BMWs flying left, right and centre?
Yeah, the qualifying was difficult. I didn't manage to put a lap in, so luckily I was able to get P4, but I wasn't sure how the guys around me wanted to race, if they wanted to kind of help each other in the beginning to stay with the leader, but it was some of them tried to pass instead, and we lost a bit of time in traffic because Alexander was pretty lucky with traffic in the first stint at least, so we lost the draft on him, and then it was just to stay behind Bogdan and save fuel, because saving fuel wasn't my original strategy, but it ended up I kind of chickened out on the strategy I had, so I just began with fuel saving when I was behind him, and trying to managing the tires.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as far as I'm aware, you're taking tyres at the pit stop, are you? I mean, is that something that you have to be very, very conscious of, that tyre wear throughout the stint?
Yeah, I saw at the end that the tires were pretty worn out, so I have done a couple of official races with this car, and I know that the tires can get pretty worn out, especially if they become so warm, and especially on this track with the fast corners. So I knew that I had to save tires from the beginning. I saw people was pushing a lot in the beginning, so Bogdan was sliding a bit, and I know that his tires were going to be bad because of that. So it's thanks to the practice with the team during the officials. We started driving this car about 3.5 weeks ago. So thanks to the time I spent with them, we have learned pretty much how the car works and where the limits are on the tires. So that helps a lot.
Well, congratulations on this fantastic results. And is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, first of all, I want to give a shout out to my teammate Carl Fredrik. He was with me the whole race, telling me how much I needed to save fuel and a bit on how the strategy of the others were. And thanks to the rest of my team, to Racing Lab Esports, to RacingLab.no, to CarX, and to KTM for the support. It's a good start to the year for us, so we just have to keep pushing.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck that you can keep up this form next week, Anders.
We have to try.
Anders Meyer, there, your race winner tonight. And Chaz, who would you like to check up next?
Let's have a look. Let's drag up the biggest mover in our field from this evening. It's the second Beast Racing driver I've spoken to in one night that I've just realised. Soren Kroll. Soren, you must be really pleased with that. I mean, biggest mover in the field tonight, sorry. So many places gained, 23 of them to get inside the top 10. That's one hell of a drive, mate. You must be really chuffed.
Yeah, hello, first of all, to everyone. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the race and how the race went, and very unhappy with the qualifying, though. I don't know if Jack reported it already, but we had basically the same issue with the balance of the car changing completely to being really understeery, and yeah, that like enabled or basically put up the need to like have that kind of drive, and then I got just lucky with, you know, not having any issues at the start, got through it. I think again 60 positions in the first lap, and then was just rolling through, trying to avoid incidents. But yeah, I have to put out a huge thank you to Jack. I was like nowhere near there where I'm now with the car 1 week ago, and like he really put time and effort into like be able to get me on pace, and it worked out today, and it's great.
And what would you say is the sort of secret to handling this car or making it work? Because it seems like with cars like this that are so fast and so stuck to the road that when they go and they start to spin, they're absolutely gone. What's the main thing that you do to sort of keep it in check?
I think just driving it with your fingertips, basically. You can't really put in too much steering angle, you can't put in too much brake pressure. If you like drive a GT3 car as an example, which many of us did like last week in the 12 hours of Bathurst, you can just slam the brakes and basically put in steering angle. In this car you have to be far more conservative with everything to make it work and still be able to push it. And yeah, that was the thing that like, was really hard to me to get my head wrapped around. And yeah, now we did it, and we already got P2 and P3 in our class, which is like better than we could have imagined, and off to a great start. We are looking team championship first, so yeah, that's really good weekend for us then.
And of course, next time round we go to another high-speed, flowing American circuit at Road Atlanta. What are your thoughts going there? Is it a circuit you enjoy?
Yeah, definitely. Jack and I still have a couple of builds that opened there. We led 2 Petit Le Mans races there and got caught out in the last couple of years. So we definitely love this track, but still luck wasn't on our side yet, and we just tried to get, both of us 1 position up next time and hope to get a really good result there again.
Well, we hope it goes well for you, buddy. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick thanks to while we've got you in the booth?
Everyone in Beast Racing, thanks for the opportunity, and Jack, obviously that helped me massively with the car over the week and stayed patient, so yeah.
Beautiful stuff. Well, always a pleasure to speak to you, Soren. Very well done on the result, and we'll see you at Road Atlanta. Nice one.
Yeah, see you there.
Lovely stuff, Sam. Absolutely lovely stuff. Great guy to speak to, and they explain it so well, don't they? Just the way they have to manage the cars, and it just shows you how realistic the sim is, that they get that much from the driving experience from it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a couple more interviews with a couple of drivers. We've got Luis Araya, I believe, available to have a chat with, and Luis joins us now. Luis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent stuff. Well, it's fantastic to have you back. Of course, one of our co-workers here at Apex Racing TV, and a good start to the season, 4th place in class.
Oh, it was. Thank you. I haven't looked at it. I'm just looking through the replays right now to see what happened, because it was involved with a crash with my fellow mate from last season, Jack Wells, in the opening round. So it was. I lost a lot of time with the car limping to the pits because I was in a one-stop strategy. So yeah, but it is what it is, and yeah, it's a 4th place. It's okay. We take that with us.
Absolutely. How was it with that fuel management? Because I knew it was going to be tight going in, but it looked really tight. It looked like everyone had to save fuel in the P2s in order to get to the end.
Yeah, I think it's very fun to do it because it's bringing an extra element of tactics. So I love it. Earlier this week, when I started to practice, I found out quickly that we have too little fuel to do it with one stint. So I've been practicing with for one stint, one pit stop stints. So yeah, that's has been the plan the last couple of days, to manage the fuel to get down to a reasonable level and hope for the best.
Well, it managed to yield you a strong result tonight, Luis. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
My teammates at Olympus esports, Stian has been my spotter today, and EMBware, SDK Gaming, and of course you guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Luis, and yeah, best of luck for future rounds.
Thank you. Bye.
Luis O'Reilly there. Great to see his webcam as well, and any drivers who fancy turning on their webcams. We'd love to see your faces. There are details in the Discord, in the announcements channel, to get that up, and yeah, we're more likely to talk about you, honestly. So I do thoroughly recommend it.
Yeah, it's lovely to see. It adds a little bit more to the interviews, being able to actually see the interviewee on the other side of the chat as well, which is always good to have, isn't it?
Absolutely. We've got one more interview. Chaz, are you happy
Yes.
to have a chat with Bogdan?
We will indeed. Bogdan, welcome to the commentary box, my friend. Another very busy start to the season, but still third place in class, a podium to start your championship. You must be very happy.
Yes, indeed. I want to thank first of all to the team, to my teammates, which we did practice and help each other gain speed and confidence in the car. And I'm very happy to start the season with such a strong result.
And I mean, these cars around Watkins Glen, it's such a high-speed circuit around here. What was your main focus tonight that kept you on track and just kept you out of the wall, because it's so easy for it to go wrong here?
Well, maybe to check the fuel, because it was a 75-minute race, which is almost 2 pit stops for these LMP2 cars. So yeah, I was checking constantly the fuel. Also, I did many practice to many stints to get into the rhythm of the race, and also be more comfortable as the fuel goes on with the car. And so on. So, and in some situation I wasn't pushing to the max in order to save some fuel, because yeah, at the final I ran short on fuel and I crossed the line with with coasting.
Well, I'd say that's perfect calculation if you ask me. But still, it was a very, very entertaining race. What's it like behind the wheel of one of these LMP2 cars when you have the LMDHs flying past you down the straight? Because we all know that these LMP2 cars are very, very fast. But when you have a car that's going that much quicker than you, is it quite off-putting, or do you sort of stay in your own concentration bubble?
Well, you will also stay in the concentration bubble, but you also need to look in your mirror to see if the LMDH will try to pass you on that corner, and be prepared to leave the corner to the LMDH. And also at those very high speeds, you need to be very focused, because one very small mistake can pretty much cripple your race, especially the new damage model for the P2.
Yeah, that's it. They're very fragile cars as well, so contact is an absolute no-go. We go to Road Atlanta next time round. Is that a circuit that you're excited to race at, or is it one that you don't quite enjoy as much?
It's one I quite enjoy racing on it, because it's a very fun track, very fast pace with that long straight, where and also very short. So yeah, I'm looking forward for that one.
And so are we, my friend. We really look forward to seeing you there. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a quick shout out to while we've got you?
Yeah, to my family, to my friends, and also to the big shout out to the team and team manager.
Great stuff. Well, thank you very much for jumping in for an interview, Bogdan. Well done on your result this evening, and we will see you at Road Atlanta.
Okay, see ya.
Cheers. And there we go, Sam. A good solid batch of interviews, some great people, and what a fantastic race to start our championship.
Yeah, we really was for where those battles were, though, for the premier positions out on circuit. It's a fantastic sign for things to come for the rest of the championship. And, well, honestly, Chaz, I thought that the racing was high quality as well tonight. And, yeah, it will hopefully be more of the same for the next 8 rounds. We will be returning next week at Road Atlanta, as Chaz was mentioning before. Just 60 minutes next week. We've got one more 75 minutes, I think, at Sebring later on in the season. But yeah, back to the 60 minutes for next week. So hopefully you have all enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Thanks to Apex Racing Academy, to Virtual Racing School, and of course to SDK Gaming for providing our fantastic WEC overlay with our first ever display of it, really, in an Apex Racing League event tonight. Hopefully you very much enjoyed it being up on screen tonight. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Chaz Jaycott, and from Lewis Ward, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you back next time in the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. See you then.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.